been the reason why many government uh, parastatals are still pumping millions of grants every year into grants, not because they want to, right, but because they know the value of the data that they are collecting from that survey. So that's why we try to give us a little bit of a breakdown of what um, survey design is all about. And if we really will appreciate that, that will also help us to know the need to take time when people send you their survey. You know, Nigerians are fond of, once you send them their survey, they are always in a hurry. Not Nigerians, sorry, that I'm using Nigerians. Everyone generally, human beings, right? So, but we forget to note that these um, surveys are what people actually at the end will submit to governments and submit to NGOs, and these are reports that will still be used. Okay, so it's just something for us to not just pay attention while we are filling them, but my emphasis is just for us to be able to do a good survey, right? To do a good survey and be able to carry it out without biases. Surveys comes with a lot of biases, and I think that's a bulk of what we'll be discussing today, God helping us. Okay, so I'll share my screen now so that we can begin. If you're just joining us, please, we would love that you I think yesterday we asked and we made a demand that people share their links to the group chat so that we will interact with ourselves on LinkedIn and then build our community there as well. So please, while we're on the call, you can also drop those LinkedIn profiles so that we can follow each other. Okay, but that was towards the end of the class. And meanwhile, the page, MI Analytics and Research Consult page on LinkedIn, it's necessary that you follow the page and as well repost to the event. I think the event has been on LinkedIn for a week now, so repost it to your timeline so that people who are not already in the community can also join and benefit from the free training as well. Like they said, caring is sharing, right? So let's just keep sharing to our timeline and to our community, different communities. It really go a long way to help those who are sponsoring these events. Okay, so let's go ahead with today. Can someone just give us a recap on what we talked on when it comes to open-ended questions? Can someone just break it down for us? And what did we say is an open-ended question? What did we say is a closed-ended question? Anyone? Just a brief recap. Okay, Chukwebuka raised his hand. Okay, sorry, Sam, go ahead, sir.
Okay, good evening, everyone. From yesterday's tutorial, we learned about open-ended and closed-ended questions and the benefits of each of them and let's say, the kind of disadvantage or the cons of each of them. Now, for open-ended question, or let me just go with this. First of all, closed-ended question. Closed-ended questions, they are questions which you ask with a defined answer, whereby the participant has to choose between a range of answers which you present for them. And most times, if you want to get a close-ended question, you might either use some tools like questionnaires. That's when I'm talking about types of questionnaires like that, scales and the autonomous survey, multiple close questions and numeric and stuff like that. Then we talked about the open-ended questions now. Open-ended questions are questions that you ask the participants of your survey with the hope of them explaining it on their own basis, Like there is no limitation to the answers they can give. They are just to give answers, and then you can now take from the answers what you need to be able to make the decisions you want to make. The open-ended question, like you notified yesterday, can be used to make cause-effect decisions, unlike closed-ended questions, because closed-ended questions might not be able to give us the root detail of what we want to achieve. Like what is the cause of this might not be able to be reflected in the closed-ended question, but open-ended question. Okay, let's take for example, I'm seeing a patient now. Most times when we that are in the clinical field, when doing assessments, we are being advised to, when taking patient complaints or history, ask an open-ended question so that you can be able to get details of how these things might start, because there might be so many factors that are leading to such an effect. There are so many factors that are causing an effect. So if you ask a closed-ended question at that point in time, you might not be able to get what the patients want to explain from her own perspective, which might not be covered in the options you give to the patient. So to that effect, it's necessary to use an open-ended question to be able to arrive at a decision that can be used for a cause and effect studies or solution. Why closed-ended question is better for maybe testing a hypothesis of what you think you already know or what you want to establish that this is this. So you can use a closed-ended question to be able to like carry it out.
Okay.
That's from what we talked about today.
Okay, interesting. That's a big breakdown. It shows that he was paying attention. Thank you very much, Ebuka, for that detailed breakdown. Right. Um, One interesting thing about surveys and how it can. Hassan Ali, do you have a contribution, an addition to that? Hello, Mr. Hassan, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir. In addition to that, I think one of the things I can yeah, I hear you, I can hear you. But I can say in addition to that, I think everything is spoken with someone previously. But the issue that yesterday was discussed is the difference between survey and the questionnaire. One among the points that I can catch, you can say that the questionnaire is just the tool, but survey is combine different things. But we can say the questionnaire is coming inside the survey. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. He just summarized and the image that we shared yesterday. If you can still remember this image, right? Some of us, if you still remember this image, right? We are saying that survey are imprinted into questionnaires, right? So that questionnaires are only a subset of surveys, right? So in essence, every questionnaire is a survey, but not every survey is a questionnaire, right? It can be an interview. Okay, so let's go ahead with the objectives of today and see how God helps us. Okay, so today we'll be going through drafting a questionnaire. We'll go through the step-by-step approach used to, first of all, we'll talk about how to prepare a survey research, right? The broader picture now, the whole process of survey research, survey study, we'll try to break it down for us to know the step-by-step approach to go about it. And then we'll sound a warning to those using ChatGPT. Okay, let me know how many. Now, let's be sincere to ourselves, right? I'm not saying that AI. I'm a very big fan of AI, so I want to know how many of us have used ChatGPT to create questionnaire before now. Just indicates we are no one. This not a supervision class. Okay, one person only. I know there is more. There is more. Okay, they are hiding, right? So, but I wanted to just sound a warning ahead of those who are using ChatGPT or other AI tools to know their limitations and know that AI has its own limitations and know how to navigate using these tools so that you won't be right. There are a lot of ethical values that sometimes AI do break, and if you're not careful, it will also bring you collect your license from you, right? If you didn't go through and proofread what you think that AI gave you. So let's just be careful. But we'll try to talk about that along the line. So we'll talk about reliability, if time permits us, and validity, and then sampling techniques, and then how to determine if a survey is a representative of your population, right? I think we might need to handle this tomorrow. Okay. A lot of things came into my mind as I tried to prepare some of these. Yeah, so I had to be moving some of them till tomorrow because a lot of things were coming to my mind as I prepared for this, and it's some mistakes that I see daily in my interaction with survey studies or analytical works, and it's something I said I will share in the course of the meeting. So, what are the advantages of survey design? So I just wanted to break it down a little bit of before going into what we have. Why should we pay attention, right, to survey research? Why I raised an issue yesterday that government facilities still pushing tons of millions into survey designs. So why is it so important? One, it measures a wide range of unobservable data, right? So some data set that can be really observed per se, just like behavior, self-esteem, traits of people, right? You want to know the mindset of people concerning certain things. You can't really observe it, but you can use some structured questions to sieve out those unobservable data sets. So it's just the beauty of survey, right? And you can actually collect data remotely from a larger population. Remember I told you that there are different studies that are being done today collaboratively with different nations all at the same time concurrently, right? So it's just the beauty of survey that someone in Nigeria can, as far as Pakistan, collaborate and collect data and come up with a very interesting outcome, right? And it's something really we can give credit only to survey research, survey design. Normally, experimental studies might not have been able to do that due to cost, effect, and the rest of them. So, but it's just interesting to know that survey designs can actually go that far. It has no boundaries, and it's convenient for respondents. I think this is one of the reasons why facilities still use survey, because they can reach the unreachable, right? Even immigrants that are in hiding, you see them. How do you think that people get information about immigrants? They tell you that immigrants who should be hiding, what's it called now? What's the word now? Unauthorized immigrants. There is data about them, but they are anonymous data. You can't find them. You can't pinpoint where they are, but they are there, right? So it's just all those NGOs. They go and take surveys online, and people feel it, and they discover, okay, actually there are immigrants in this nation, though hiding, but yet these people, they are literally unreachable. But through survey and the anonymity of survey, you can be able to capture such data sets, right? It's really interesting, and it's also economical, right? So I'm just would like to see if you graduated with under a health facility that made you to work on real data, you won't be so out on survey studies. You will be neglecting it a lot. You'll be despising it a lot. So I had to go down. I know my kind of people are out there. Many are out there who look down on survey studies, but they are powerful. So I had to bring down these advantages for people to understand that there is great advantage in using and carrying out survey designs, survey researches. It's really helpful. It's not a must that your study must be experimental. It's not a must that your study must be observational, right? It's not a must that you must carry out a laboratory data. You can also use survey study to do a very robust grants acquiring research. Okay. Then another advantage there is the mix of qualitative and quantitative data at the same time. You can actually use both, right? You can use both at the same time, and the time efficiency, right? And the ease of analysis, though not really easy, but a lot of complex data can, when the data set is quite big and there are a lot of messy data out there, so it's not really easy, but it's kind of easier. Yeah, it's kind of easier. Okay, so survey research. So there are two broad groups of survey research. We can either have questionnaires or we can have interviews. So under questionnaires, we have the self-administered. Okay. And let me just try. Okay, let me just try. If anyone, does anyone have an idea what self-administered means and group administered means? Before we go ahead. Anyone? Okay, time is not on our side. Let's go ahead. So self-administered means you give directly to the individuals, right, to fill the form. It can be online, it can be via mails, it can be on paper, okay, but whichever one, so long as you are giving it to individuals at their different location at their convenience, then we can call that a self-administered questionnaire. But when we talk about group administered questionnaires, we're talking about facilities. When an organization, when you come for, okay, let me use the one that we can relate very well. When you go for a data collection in a particular facility and you go with what I think undergraduates call a recommendation letter or a letter of preference, there's another word used there, right? And you go to the facility. If once you meet the head of department or the person in charge there, and you have a good collaboration with them, a good rapport with them, the next thing is that they will do is that they will call the staff and bring them into a room and then ask them, okay, this is the importance of this survey. Can you help us fill this survey for these students or for this researcher so that they can be used for this particular reason? Now, when everyone is in a room and filling a particular survey, when there are a group of people in a particular room, maybe the CEO calls his staff and claim, okay, everyone come to the conference room, fill this survey, and as they are filling, they are asking questions. So long as there is a group and there is a free access to the researcher and the respondent to ask questions, if there's any confusion, then we'll call that a group administered questionnaire. Okay, so but when you talk about interviews, it's still still under survey research. We have we all know the meaning of interviews, right? Just talks. So it can be either face to face, it can be with a focused group, it can be a telephone interview, right? So these are different forms of research, survey research. Okay, how then do we ensure a well-structured survey is used? How do we ensure that we use a well-structured survey? Okay, so the step-by-step approach that should be considered whenever you are carrying out a survey study. Now, this is the whole bulk. Not really just, we are not allowing down yet to questionnaires. We are not yet talking about structuring a questionnaire. This is just the entire umbrella of preparing a survey study, right? So you should be able to, first of all, have a clear goal, a clear purpose for carrying out a study. That's the first thing that should come into your mind whenever you talk about using survey for any research, right? Okay, I have a question for us here. I think this is something that is always an issue when it comes to Uh, yeah, undergraduates, yes, and a few graduate programs. I want to know, can someone just help us differentiate between research question and research objectives? Research question and research objectives. Can someone help us differentiate?
Sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Blessing.
Um, survey question. Survey question doesn't have an option. I feel. Then survey objective they come with options for you to choose from.
Okay. Okay. Now I'm just don't mind the survey I'm adding there. I just want to know the plain. You've heard of what's it called now? Research question before. You've heard of research objectives. I just want to be sure that I just want to know our opinion on the differences. What do we? Someone else just tried. Blessing, you tried, but I need someone else give us your opinion. What you think a research question is, and what you think a research objectives generally, not tailored to survey study. Now I just wanted to. Okay, or the Naka James, go ahead.
Okay. On my own uh, opinion, research question is what uh, the field, that is the particular question, is trying to ask about, is trying to answer, is trying to seek. That is from the environment or from the question, is trying to answer. Why research objective is what it wants, it is what it is trying to fulfill. That is from my own.
Okay. Now it's still okay. I think Madwa Buchi, Madwa Boys, Marachi. Go ahead, please.
Okay, for me, I believe that research questions should be what brings about a research, while research objective is like the aim of the research. That's what I think.
Okay. Okay. We are all correct in our own uh, understanding. Okay. So I just wanted to point that out because I see often when people present their write-ups, I see people having a different research question, and then they are having a different research objectives. Ideally, it shouldn't be so. The only difference between the two of them is just that one is a question, one is a statement, right? They are all trying to answer the particular reason why you. They are all trying to solve your statement of problem, right? So they are all tailored towards your aim of study. They are the breakdown. Research question is just a breakdown of your aim of study. You may have an aim of one statement, which could be your topic, which is now turned into a statement, right? And then that statement has to be broken down into parts. And those are research questions that will help you analyze your data and help you know what kind of data you need to collect, and then that will align to your aim. So research question is more like a breakdown of your aim in a question format. But research objectives is a breakdown of your aim, the same way research question came, but like a statement now. So if you have a research question like what is the impact of survey design training on MSc program students? Still the same. This is a question now. If I want to convert it to an objective, I'll just say the impact, assessing the impact of survey study on MSc graduates, right? So the difference is just one is a question, one is a statement, but all of them are still answering, or they are the servants of the aim, right? A sublet, a sub set of the aim, trying to break down the aim of your study, trying to break down the statement of your study, statement of problem of your study, right, in a way that will help you analyze, know the data to collect, and then analyze properly. Okay, that's why if you are an analyst, you should also be aware that there is no analysis without an aim, and there is no result without a research question. So there has to be a question that you have in mind that you're analyzing, right? And that research question came from an aim, came from the purpose of your study. Okay, so that's just the difference I wanted us to just take note of. So when you're preparing a survey study, it's important that we just take note of some important steps. Okay, and one of them is have a clear-cut aim and purpose for your study, and formulate your specific objectives. Right, formulate your specific objectives. And we are in the era of AI. This is where I can advocate for AI, right? You can use AI to actually help this after, and I'll still mention it down, okay? But you can use, after you formulated a good aim, you can use AI. If you're not very, some of us are not very good in English, you can use AI to break down your aim into objectives. So it can help you break down your aim or your purpose of study or statement of problem into different aims that can help you know the data you collect, the kind of data you collect, and how to analyze your data. Okay, so you also have to determine, once you're done with the first step, which is knowing your aim of study, the next thing that should be in your mind is to know who are my target audience. Why am I collecting this data? Now, if you don't have that in mind, you will get at some point um, confused or lost in the whole process. So, like we always told, have in mind your objectives and have in mind your target population from the onset. Right? So long as you have your target population in mind, your aim of study in mind, you will always be playing around it. At least you won't deviate so much from it. So first step, aim. Second step, have in mind, pen down who are my target audience. Right? Take for instance, okay, after this 5 days workshop, okay, someone on the call, let's say a blessing, picks interest in survey design and says, okay, I want to work on a survey design, I want to work on a survey research. And then he says, okay, I want to assess the impact of training on students, impact of data analytics training on student knowledge. Okay, and then you do that. So you've gotten your question, you've gotten your aim. Now you also have to know who are my target population. At this point, okay, you're saying students, but you can't use the entire students in the whole world, obviously. So you have to also talk about the third point, which is what? The sample size and sampling method. Okay, so once you've targeted your population, the next thing to now begin to look at is what? Your sample size. Because you can't target the entire students. It's not possible. Even your resources can actually be able to do that. Not even the world resources can be able to do that, right? So you have to narrow it down to a sample. We'll still talk about sample and population down, right? You can't use the entire population, so you have to now narrow it down to a sample. You have to choose a sampling technique. You have to choose a sampling method. Then once you're done and you've identified your sampling size, your sample size, sampling techniques and method to use, the next step is now to choose, okay, should I collect a one-time data, or should I check the assessment of this training over and over again? Okay, should I just expose the students first semester on this training, okay, and then check their level of data analysis skills, and then after is someone talking? Okay, then after some months we expose them again to a second training and see the impact. So do you want to do a longitudinal data, or do you want to do a cross-sectional survey method? Are you seeing how to narrow down your thought process whenever you are trying to carry out a survey? So it's still, you can finish. I know a mentor will always say you can finish your survey from your mind, right? I love when she says that, makes that statement. You can finish your survey from your mind. So you, with your mind, with your paper, you can finish from the start to the finish, to the conclusion of your from the conclusion of your survey study on your mind, on your paper. That's why we have something called what's it called now? Something plan, right? Research plan, yeah, research plan. So it's just a system for you to plan yourself, okay? Plan yourself and be able to pinpoint everything you need for the study to go well. So once you're done with knowing, okay, is it cross-sectional questionnaire I'm using or longitudinal data I want to collect, you also need to find out, okay, do I have the resources to go and print out paper? Because that's a lot now, because printing costs a lot. So you have to also check, if I have a sample size of close to 400, okay, do I have the resources to be able to print 400 papers? Okay, or should I also look for an alternative of calling people on phone or using online surveys like SurveyMonkey or Google Form? So these are things that you begin to pen down and begin to arrange your thoughts. Okay, and then once you're done with that, you begin to now think of developing your questionnaires, which is talking about trying to pen down the questions that you will be asking in your questionnaire. Now, I should have penned this down this slide, but since it came to my mind, let me just mention it now. There are crucial places where you get questions when you come to questionnaire structuring. Yeah, you can use your mind to structure questionnaires, and like some of you also use ChatGPT, but I told you, and like I'll still point out later on in the slides, there are some limitations and there are some gaps that AI tools can never cover. There are millions and tons of advantages of using it. Actually, don't I'm a very if you follow me very on social media, you know I'm a very big fan of AI, right? But I also have this mindset that AI has a lot of limitation, right? And it's something that we should be cautious of, especially when we are dealing with data sets that can influence lives, that can impact nations, that can impact policies, right? Based on your recommendation at the end of the survey. All right, so I need to point out some important areas where we can get survey, or rather get questions. One, it could be from your creative ideas, okay? From your creative ideas. Okay, you're working, let's use same example of, what's it called now? What's the example I gave now on, can someone remind me? The example I gave, okay, how to check the impact of data analysis training on students. Okay, so basically you want to use that as your survey, you want to come up with survey questions for that. So with your ideas you can come up, okay, let's check, okay, of course we want to know first of all the agenda. Okay, we want to also know their states, the basic demography. Okay, then you begin to narrow down to specific questions. Okay, I also want to know the tools they currently know, the data analytics tools, their level of knowledge. I want to know the scale, the rates of their level of knowledge. Okay, so you can begin to think and bring out questions that can be used for the questionnaire, right? This is one method, so from your creative ideas. So but another bonus tip or bonus way that I've observed that is very very good and very very beneficial, and this is a bonus tip for those who are on the call today. I can't hear him clearly. Is that from my own end? Can anyone hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, Philip, I think it's from your own end.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, Philip, check your network. Either you log out and come in again. Okay. Okay. So this bonus tip is something that you should you should you should treasure, right? So the second or the most preferred way of getting questions for your survey is previous studies, right? Apart from your creative thinking. So all of you using ChatGPT, you're missing a lot because you're not using already. Imagine you have already prepared dish and you're looking for how to make a dish. Sorry, you've already prepared meal and you're looking for how to make a meal, right? It's like a waste of time and waste of energy. Okay, so you already have already prepared questionnaires online, and these are not just website. I mean articles. Okay, so where do you find it in articles? It's not just you won't see any questionnaire. Okay, yeah, you can see questionnaires that are structured, like most rehab students use a structured questionnaire, and nursing also have a structured questionnaire. So for some of their studies, okay. So, but when you are doing a kind of study that there is no already made structured questionnaire online for you to use verbatim what they used, there is also an option using past articles online, right? So you can go through the results section of an article that worked on similar something. So I go to Google Scholar and I search my research topic. Okay, impact of survey training, data analysis training on students, and I find articles that have worked on that particular um, study. What I do, I'll just go down to the resource session. Okay, down to the resource session, go through their tables, go through their charts. That will determine and tell me, okay, what kind of questions these people used in their own study. Right now, that's a game changer for most people that use surveys, because it will give you a bulk of questions, even the ones you never thought of, even the ones that AI will never give you. Right? AI will just give you questions that are uh, algorithm based. Right? So it will just be giving you. I don't want to use the word I want to use now. So it's just interesting to see that there are a bulk of questions out there who other thinkers have also thought out and published, that you can actually find out online at your tip and beck. Okay, so it's just for you to make a quick search on Google Scholar or um, what's it called now? Or Typeset. Okay, Typeset is also a good AI-based research tool. Okay, like I told you, I'm a good fan of AI, but when it comes to AI-based research tools, I love them. So you can check out Typeset, you can check out Survey, Google Scholar, though it's not AI-based, but it's good. Okay, so both of them can actually give you quick access to some important studies that have similar questions that you might be looking for. Okay, are we following to this point? And am I still being heard?
Yes, sir. We are following.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So then, once you're done with, remember we're still discussing how to navigate your way in creating a survey study. Okay. So first of all, you're talking about the aim. Have an aim in mind. Have a targeted population in mind. But you can't obviously target every population. You have to narrow it down to a sample. So you have to start thinking about how to calculate your sample size. I'm sorry I didn't add that, but I should have added that. But there are many sample calculators online. Just go online and type sample size calculator. There are millions of free versions of calculators there that you can use to calculate your sample size. Okay, and then you can choose and it's very simple to use. Okay, very simple to use, very straightforward to use. Okay, and then before you talk about choosing your survey methods, talking about whether to use an online survey or paper survey, and then structuring your questionnaire. Now, once you're done structuring your questionnaires, which we will still discuss on how to structure that questionnaire, we'll still discuss it down the slides. So we are just trying to give a broader view. So once you're done structuring your questionnaire, the next thing that should uh, be involved now is the collection of your data and the analysis, right? Which is the meat of your whole process. Okay, so being able to collect a credible data, being able to analyze it ethically, right, without some biases, and then being able to present your interpretation and not making your own interpretation. Make interpretation based on your data, right? Make interpretation based on your data, not based on your assumption or what you pre-imposed or pre-assumed in your mind. Okay, like many people want to begin to manipulate their p-value whenever they see that p-value is not less than 0.05 or greater than 0.05. They'll begin to panel bit just to. But like it's always said, research is research. Whether significant or not significant, it will still be accepted by journals, right? I think I made a post on this p-value on LinkedIn recently, and it got a lot of waves. I said I made a comment that it's not a must that p-value. I think p-value is overrated. I think that was the word I used, and a lot of people backed me. I see. So people are been suffering of suffering about the p-value issues, and I saw a lot of backing. So it's not that p-value is the last bottom line of uh, significance of a study. There's also the use of confidence interval. There's also the use of other factors, factor analysis, just to confirm, right? So, but don't feel bad, okay, that your data wasn't your research wasn't significant, okay? So that's a side statement. So once you're done with your data collection and analysis, the next should be the interpretation and presenting of your report. Okay. All right. So if you have any question at any point, please feel free to ask. Okay. So structuring a questionnaire, best practices. What are the best practices when it comes to structuring a questionnaire? What should you have in mind when you are now preparing your questions? Okay. Because like I told you, AI will be giving you some funny questions. Even you yourself will be laughing at AI, at yourself for the questions, right? Because it won't be making sense. And mind you that you are talking with human beings, and you are giving these questionnaires to human beings, and there is something we call interest and fatigue. So if people lose interest in what you are giving them because they are feeling that it's robotic, or they are fatigued because AI now gave them a long list of questions to ask, and you yourself carried it like that and posted in your questionnaire with the long list like that, and then you sent it out. People get fatigued, and you get a lot of unresponsive biases. Okay, so these are things that you should just take note of. Okay, so I just try to bring out a few points. All right, so when constructing a survey questionnaire, remember it's an art, so you need to be very careful and take some things into cognizance, right? One is I always say, always have your objectives and your target population in your mind whenever you're constructing the questions that you are using. Okay, the questions that you'll be using, always try to the questions that you will be generating or you're getting from online sources, always try to have at the back of your mind your research objectives and your target population in mind at all times. At all times, this is so crucial and this is so important. So once you have that in mind, then you can begin to formulate your questions like we talked about, using your mind, using your creative ideas, using questionnaire, using online data sets that you see that are similar to your own work, right? You can begin to formulate questions, right? And then once you begin to formulate questions, you must make sure to format, uh, take the format that's being used. Do you want to use um, a self-administered questionnaire, or do you want to use an interview? I think that should be the first step. Once you're done with your understanding your objectives, the next step should be now, how do I want to go about it? Should I go ahead with either a self-administered questionnaire, or do I go oral, asking people? Right? So sometimes people use both, just like the study we are doing now in Kenya and Nigeria. So we are using both, and we are collecting both online, both hard copy, and we also using interviews, and it's called mixed study. Right? So you need to understand: am I using a mixed study? Am I using just questionnaires? Am I just using interviews? So depending on where and how you want to go about it. So, but that should be in your mind. Then to very clearly and but briefly introduce the purpose of your questionnaire. This is so crucial, and this is one of the ethical practices you must have in mind. Yeah, I think our undergraduate studies also did a very good job in teaching us this, right? I rarely see any student's questionnaire that has no clearly stated purpose of study, though some of them are not. They don't even know uh, why they put it there, right? But it's very crucial because people who read them, right? And people who read them are often people that will give you a sincere answer, and these are the kind of people you need in your survey, not people that are filling your survey absent-minded. They just want to get rid of you, right? So that you stop disturbing them with your questionnaire. Okay, some persons you won't fill there. Just help me fill my questionnaire, and then they'll be okay. Just come, and then they just mingle anything they want. Those are the kind of people you want in your survey. Okay, so people that you want in your survey are people that might want to read and know, okay, this data I'm providing you, what do you want to do with it? Is there confidentiality? Am I sure that what you are getting is something that will help the society? So you must state it clearly in the introduction of your questions. Alright, so once you're done with that, then you begin to logically organize your questions. Okay? Now, the normal process I've been seeing is having the social demographics come first. But based on some researches and some thought leaders, they feel that questionnaires social demographic data should come towards the end. That some other people's opinion, other experts feel that, okay, those simple questions, those basic questions should come towards the end when the participant is already tired and really feeling fatigued. But the most important questions should come front, right? So that when people are still very much active, they can easily feel and enter the questions that are really important to the study without biases. Okay, so but then just keep that in mind, and maybe you can, with the help of your team, if you're working in a research institute, or with the help of a supervisor, you can also determine how to go about that. But I'm just telling you other people's opinion on arranging social demographic data. Okay, so logically organizing questions, logically, first of all, put up the easy questions first. Okay, put up the easy questions first. Those easy questions that people you think they should know, right? And never assume that people should know a question. That's why you like number two the number 2 point I raised. Always have your target population in mind. These people I'm giving this questionnaire, are they the right people? Do they know the answer to this question I'm asking them? Right. So these are things that you need to ask so that it will give you a little bit of leverage, and then you can be sure of getting an unbiased data. Then the next point is to group your data into similar questions. Okay, don't stress human brain. Don't scatter questions right here and there. So if there are similar questions that are you feel they are in same category, just put them in same and the same section. If you know how Google Form does things in section, or you're printed from section A, just make sure they are grouped in similar sections. Don't transfer questions into different locations, right? It will have a way of distorting the brain thought process of the respondent, and they tend to lie based on research. Okay, then move from general to specific, right? From general knowledge, what they should know, then begin to go specific, all right? And then place sensitive questions at the end, right? All those sensitive questions that you feel that, okay, these people might be very not too out to give it, just put it at the end. But also know how to ask these questions. Imagine telling someone, okay, are you pregnant, and that person is not married. Obviously the person will tell you no. No, sorry, I think the question should be, have you ever done abortion before? Right? So, but there is a way you present that question. Okay, how often do you think people of this age commit abortion? Of this age bracket commit abortion. So they are not feeling directly attacked by your question. If I feel directly attacked by your question, I won't literally give in to that. I will I'll obviously lie. I won't lie, sir. So, but then I know people will lie, right? Okay. So, but then it's important that we find a way to structure our questions to be very, very, to be human sensitive. Be emotionally they call it emotional intelligence. So you need to be intelligent with your participants and know, okay, if I ask this question, will they be offended? So direct questions like that will obviously make them to begin to hide their thoughts. Okay, so let's continue. Are we following to this point? Have I lost us?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
All right. So let's see how we can
Yes,
proceed.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. So obviously, it's important that we just take note of these things. And choosing the question types. Okay. Remember, we're still talking about how to structure a questionnaire, right? So, and you are done with the first part of getting your questions. You began to format it correctly. You organize it logically right now. So you need to also begin to determine, okay, do I need these my questions I'm asking them? Do I need to make it open-ended? Do I have to add options to them, or do I make it open-ended and allow them to make their own contributions based on their own words? So these are things that you should try to make them understand. Okay? And then be clear and concise. I had to put this one. Don't try to put in many questions. I see a lot of it. I'm trying to think of an example now. Okay, how do you rate our services, and how do you see and will you be able to patronize us tomorrow? That's the double-barreled question. Obviously, the person doesn't know where. Should I answer, how do you rate my services, and will you patronize us tomorrow? That you obviously will get a biased answer, right? So don't ask double-barreled questions or double-edged questions in one question. Allow people to make their choices based on the particular question you asked. So be clear, be concise, be straight, right? Don't give double questions in one question. Be clear with your response as well. What the options I gave them, let it be very clear to them. Let it not be confusing. Let it not be confusing. A lot that also confuse. If you're using this likely, what's it called now? Most likely, like mostly, that thing confuses people a lot, right? It confuses people a lot. Most likely, less likely. Uh, if it's someone that is not very used to those kind of words, it's find a very suitable option for them. You can use strongly agreed, disagreed. I heard that's a little bit of. I think it's much better. Okay, so just find that. Make sure that your options are quite understandable and very clear to your respondents. And then number 8 steps that you should take when you're creating your questionnaire is to pilot your study. Right, carry out a pilot study. Select based on your sample size a minimum of maybe 10 20 participants that are around your target population and give them the survey after you've created the whole questions and see how they respond, see how they attend to the questions. Are there questions that were hard for them to answer? Those are red flags. Are there questions that they felt they left blank? Find out why. Right, so these are things that will give you an idea. Okay, I think there is an issue here, there is an issue here. Then you begin to cut down, and that's what we call validation. Right, validating your data, making sure the constructs are correct, and the rest of them. We'll still talk about that hopefully by tomorrow. Validation and reliability. Okay, then you properly format. This is so crucial. Someone sent me a questionnaire recently, and I didn't even respond because it was in a text format. So how do you expect to read? How do you expect to go through it? It wasn't formatted correctly. It will even kill the person's eye. So imagine now giving such questionnaire to a respondent that doesn't even know you, right? They will just dump the thing on you, right? Or even give you fake responses. And that's why you see people, when they analyze their data, it's obviously not publishable. Because most of the data they collected here, we are wrongly filled by respondents who were tired or who were frustrated because of the formatting of the questionnaire. So do you see why the reason why sometimes our supervisors are not quick to publish survey studies that we do? Especially for our nursing friends. Sorry, I'm using nursing. Sorry, nursing friends. I apologize for that. Okay, so it's just something that I've noticed over time. So we should be careful about how Chinaza Divine, I'm not with you. If they catch you, nursing people can be very. All right, so you just have to be careful about the questions. Okay, you ask and the way you format your data, it has a long way of either affecting the mindset of your respondents and the way they respond to these questions, and it in the end affects your results, and it won't be publishable because obviously everything will be so uniform. Okay, so format properly, and of course always end with a thank you note. Thank them very well, appreciate them. That thing opens door for other respondents. I worked on sickle cell patients, and their their previous history with people that were above us wasn't so funny. So when we came to collect data, it wasn't so easy because they said, Ndana, I know there are non-Igbos here. I wanted to speak. All right, so I wanted to use Igbo language to express what they said. Right, but they made a comment that that showed that they had a bad experience with people previously. So we were now facing the consequences of people's bad behavior. So always say thank you to your respondents, because obviously that respondent will also be the respondent of someone else's study. So always thank them, always appreciate them for their time. You might not know that that's significant, that they value it. It's just say it, all right? Whether online, whether physically, whichever means, you just say thank you very much for taking your time to fill out survey. I'm really grateful. It has a long way to really calm their heart, and subsequently, if I see someone else working on this thing, I can actually help them. Okay, this is so crucial. Okay, we are gradually coming. I pray that time will come help us. Okay, now I had to also add this for some of us that will be doing just a mixed not a mixed study, a qualitative study, right? I know a lot of people, a lot of studies now are doing qualitative study, especially now that there are tools that can fast track qualitative study easily. Okay, so let's just note these points that I wanted us to just point out. So there are some steps I needed us to just take when we are conducting or preparing for interview surveys. Remember, we grouped our survey research into questionnaires and interviews, right? You still remember that? Yeah, you remember. So interviews are they are more personalized form of data collection method than questionnaires. The reason is that you are face to face with the participants, right? So you obviously can see the facial expression of the respondents, right? You can see everything they are doing, how they respond, their mindset, their slack back, how they respond, how they were excited about the question, how they responded. Okay, so these are things that you should that I think these are things that makes qualitative study very interesting, right? Because it gives you leverage of knowing your participants one-on-one. So simple rules to follow. One, prepare for the interview. Okay, now how do you prepare for the interview? I did a qualitative study for someone, and I got the what's it called now? The transcripts. Okay, I got the recording of the transcripts, and the recording was one, it wasn't clear. Two, there was noise in the background. Three, it was as if the researcher wasn't, so he was just waiting for one question ends, next question, number 3 question, number 4 question. There was no follow-up question, right? There was no interaction, right? It was like as if you are questioning someone that you want to kill, that you want to arrest, and that's not what qualitative study is all about. So you're trying to find the heartbeat of the person speaking. Okay, so you need to prepare for interview, and one of the things you do in preparation is one, prepare questions ahead of time, right? Prepare questions ahead of time, and then also prepare a good mic, right? A good phone. Don't use I don't know whether people use WhatsApp recording to do that, or find a recording something that can easily pick up sounds when you are recording people. Prepare very well. Don't just use or going less because of inconvenience. You meet persons in a noisy environment, right? Or because you didn't see them, they weren't really available. You can maybe do what you can, but then when you can do a good interview, find a quiet environment, find a good recording application or phone, right? And put the speaker near the mouth of the respondent. I'm just being practical to you. I'm just being practical, right? So put the speaker near the mouth of the participants, respondent, so that the transcripts will be very, very clear. The transcripts will be very, very okay. And without a good transcripts, the advanced tools used for analysis of these survey this thing won't give a very wonderful result, except the analyst has a way to just fine tune it, right? So it's just something that we should pay attention to as we prepare for these interviews, right? So I mentioned prepare your questions ahead of time, prepare your mic or phone, whichever one you have available, okay, and look for a good environment. Okay, so, and then number 2, locate and enlist the cooperation of respondents. Okay, tell them ahead of time, call them on phone, okay, tell them, okay, we are coming on 60 dates, right? If they are busy people, obviously they are busy people. Probably most times when you're working on this qualitative data, you're working with directors or people of high class. They have a busy schedule, right? So pre-inform them 30 minutes to the time, send them a text again, so that they are fully ready and fully set for the survey study. Why I'm pushing all this and also included, this wasn't initially included in our curriculum, but I had to add it also. I mean the curriculum for these 5 days. I had to add it so that it will stir up many people to also go for qualitative study, especially undergraduates who are in the call. Don't be afraid to go for qualitative study in your project, right? Go for it, and it will milk in more publication push for your from your supervisor. Okay, it will milk in more push from their own end. So once you're done, then number 3, motivate your respondents. Motivate them, encourage them. If they are talking, I'm not saying now there are some disclaimers. Never agree, never disagree with your respondent in an interview. That's an ethical practice when it comes to interview session. Never agree, never disagree, never, but just find a way to say okay, okay. Just motivate them to let them know that you're listening. Okay, wow, okay, okay, thank you, okay, wow. That person knows, okay, that you are showing interest, that you are actually very, very much. He's motivated to keep speaking, but never say, okay, yes, 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 okay, that's true, that's true. No, never do that. You are giving, we are doing what we call leading the question, leading the respondent, right? It's a leading question when it comes to surveys. When it comes to questionnaire, you are giving them a leading idea. So to go ahead with that part, assuming they wanted to give another alternative part, that would have been a lost aspect of the data. So never agree with them, never disagree with them. Allow them to speak. Just encourage them with okay, thank you, wow, okay. Just those words. Another ones you can find out. Okay. So number 4, clarify any confusion or concerns. Okay, if there is any concerns, anything, any issues that they might be having at that point, questions that they might come up with, always clarify immediately. This is so crucial. Okay, and then observe quality of response. This is the meat of this is the meat of yeah, you can off it. Yes. Okay, I'll ask for permission now to go off camera for a bit. All right, so like I said, number 5 is the meat of the whole process. Okay, without number 5, you literally you should have gone for questionnaire. Okay, if it's all just 1 to 4, it's better just convert everything to questionnaire and then go ahead. Okay, so number 4 is all about observing their responses. How did they approach? How were they responding to these questions that you are asking them? Did they act in fear? Did they act in surprise? All those responses, you have to be a detective right at that point, right? If you've watched this FBI and those who have worked Jabara and the 24, you see that even eye movement, even the way they salivate, can tell you, okay, I think there is an issue here, and that will stir you up to probe more. Right? Once you notice that someone salivated or an interview and a questionnaire, okay. All right. Can someone? I think I already described that. God-given asked the question. Can someone help us answer? He asked the question. Can someone differentiate between questionnaire and interview? Can someone help us quickly? We already have 20 minutes to go, or less. Can someone help us? Someone asked a question. What's the difference between questionnaire and interview? I need someone in the call to just help us. Anyone? Okay, because of our time, let me go on. Okay, so interview, God given. Okay, Hassan, please go ahead. Hassan, go ahead. Hello, Mr. Hassan, go ahead, sir. Unmute yourself.
Thank you. I think the questionnaire most of the time was administered to the response, but the interview just we're going directly to ask your question to them direct.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much for that response. Anyone want to try? No. Okay. I can see Amarachi. Amarachi, go ahead and try.
Okay, I believe questionnaire does not involve the physical contact between you and the respondent, but for interview, there is a bit of interaction between you and the respondent. Because questionnaire is just like the respondent and the paper or whatever thing that you've said. So that's what I think actually.
All right. So I think let's go ahead. That describes everything I needed to just say on that. So they are quite different. God given, they are different. Okay. So let's go ahead. So observing, like I said, the meat of the whole interview process is this observing the responses of the respondents. Okay, please mute yourself, mute your mic. Someone's mic is on. Okay, so observe the quality of their response is just the meat of the whole process. If you miss that aspect, then you should have just converted everything, like I said, to questionnaire. Right now, there are proving techniques I needed to just point out to us, and it's something that has really helped. So I needed to just show us how it works. There's something we call silent uh, technique. All right. Sir Hassan, your mic is on, sir. Please mute. All right. So silence method. Now, when you why do you like meat? All right, Maureen, we'll talk about that in a good day. So, probing technique is just the silent method. Now, when you ask someone a question and then give them some time, don't just. I think is used in business scenario, right? The last person to speak is always the last person to lose, to win, right? So always be allow them. Once they ask them a question, be silent. Don't try to take over the stage again, right? When you see that they have made a first statement and you feel that it's not complete, calm down, right? Calm down and just watch what will happen. Okay, there is also what we call the overt encouragement. I already talked about it. It's the okay, wow, okay, it's just an overt encouragement to just make them to keep talking, right? And that's what you really want. You want them to keep talking, keep speaking, keep giving you information that you need for your survey, right? And then if there's also technique we call the elaboration, so you can clearly ask them, can you just tell me more about what you mean by this? Okay, but the one I love using most is the mirroring, and it works all the time. And now this is a top secret. I don't know why I'm sharing it in a free class. All right, so now the mirroring aspect is very interesting because it really works all the time. It works all the time because you are mirroring what the last statement the person made, and that makes them to really talk more about it. So the person makes a statement, I always feel tired when I reach out to these people. You, then you repeat the last statement. You mean you feel tired when you reach out to these people, then you remain silent. You mirror what he said, right? Some persons call it reflection. Reflect what they just said. Repeat the last statement they just said. And once you make that statement, they will always vomit more, right? They will always speak more, right? So it's really, really important that we understand these basic skills. Time. Okay. All right. So disadvantages of questionnaires. Disadvantages of questionnaires. Also, when compared with other research methodologies, there are some disadvantages that comes up a lot of times, right? You can't use questionnaires. One on the top list is you can't use questionnaires. Like I said yesterday, you can't use it for cause effects predictions or relationships, right? So long as long as there is no already predetermined hypothesis that you are testing, right? So you can't use it to assess cause effects. And also there is something we call response bias. So some people might lie in your questionnaire. People might just make some comments that are not really, really correct, right? Or give responses that are not correct. You get so they try to also take cognizance of that into your survey. And one of the ways to cut down this survey bias, I think I noted it down here. If you check the solution, I'm sure you can see my screen. I had to write it in this notes section. Now, some of the bias that we face in surveys, they can be cut down by engaging in one of these little techniques. One, advanced notification. Always tell people ahead of time, okay, this survey will take like 15 minutes. They already know. They will condition their minds and okay, let me just calm down and take out 15 minutes and fill this questionnaire, right? The mind has a way of conditioning itself when you pre-inform them, right? So always pre-inform people about questionnaire, about an interview that is coming up. It will give them a good mindset to prepare. Do you get? And also explain the relevance of the content. So if people understand the value or the need of their credibility in that survey, they will put in their best to make sure they answer it correctly. Try to make them understand, okay, that this study will actually impact the society, will impact the policies that is being made in the community that you are working in. So that you need a very correct data. They need them to feed the data sincerely, because the outcome will be reported to the policymakers in this community. Let them know the relevance of the content, right? So respondent friendly questions are also very crucial. Make sure that the questions are quite friendly, not directly attacking people. I already mentioned this. So direct attack or using first person pronoun can be can be felt like an attack, right? Using first person pronoun can be felt as an attack. So always use third person pronoun, right? I think it's always preferable. Never use first person pronoun. You feel that you are those kind of things. People will feel that you are attacking them directly. So use respondent friendly questionnaires. Then get endorsements. People always respond if they know the person that sent you. So get respondents, right? Get endorsements, sorry. Get endorsements either through your department or through a bigger director in the facility. Okay? Just make sure that someone that is of significance gave a back into your survey. That will give them a little bit of commitment to fill up and avoid some biases, right? And then follow up on requests. So when you feel that okay, they didn't answer a question, you can reach out to them and tell them, okay, I noticed that you didn't fill this, especially when you have a limited number of samples. For those who are working with a small sample size, right? Okay, so you just need to make sure you follow up with them. and make sure that they actually know that they didn't fill some questions. Then incentives, you can just give either t-shirts, or if you have the money, you can just give bangles, you can just give anything, money if you have the money, right? Just snacks, something that will just motivate them. Okay, thank you for this, something that is for you as you fill this questionnaire, depending on the resources available to you. Then non-monetary incentives, like maybe you can carry out some tasks for them, right? Something that is not non-monetary. Okay, so that's just how to work on some biases that you might face in by respondents. Okay, so you might also see some disadvantage. You might also see is the low response rate. Okay, sometimes you might see that people are very slow in responding, or people didn't respond much, and then you end up having a lesser amount of data sets compared to your sample size. These are all disadvantages of using survey. Then you can also misinterpret questions. So respondents can actually misinterpret questions, right? So if you're not there, sometimes you're not there to explain to them, like the last contributor made mention when differentiating the survey and interview. You might not be there to answer the questions that they might have, like in interview sessions. So they might misinterpret some of the questions there, and that can be a challenge. Okay, so that is also a disadvantage. Inability to prove for clarity. You are not there to explain to them what and what. These are things that should be a problem. So we also see recall bias. Some persons might be having issues recalling, sampling bias, right? These are just disadvantages that are just there. So I think this 7:29. Let's see how we can do one more slide, and then we'll continue tomorrow. A lot will be shared tomorrow. Please don't miss tomorrow's session. And when you're coming tomorrow, we ask that you join with your laptop. Okay, if you can join with your laptop, there will be a lot of hands-on. And then, like I said, the third day and the fifth day, join with your laptop, please. Okay, so that we can do some little hands-on that will help us, because there will be, if you want certification from this workshop, there will be a little task that will be done at the end of the session that will determine if you will get the certification for this workshop. Okay, so the task will be towards the end of the workshop, and you have literally from the last day of the workshop till 2 days to submit the task to get the certification of being part of this 5 days workshop, and which is an advantage. It's good to have certifications of workshops like this. Okay, so apart from that, I think we'll call it a day, and then we'll see you by, we're just trying to keep to time of 7:30. All right, so we'll see you by 6 p.m. Nigerian time, UK time tomorrow, and then it's still a long way to go. We still have 3 days more. So thank you everyone, and if you have any question, just ask it now.